All right, that's the countdown, and we should be going.
Wait, we're gonna go live? Or?
No.
It's
in,
When that red light turns on, 25 million people.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Hell no, I cannot.
I thought we were gonna do like a practice run.
No, because
we're just gonna get into it.
yeah, straight into it. I mean, I was gonna introduce.
Oh, you want to make it organic?
What's
like organic conversation?
No.
yeah.
Or again, artisan. What do you say?
Artisan
conversation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, in that case, we can talk about the McRib. Anyway, it's artisan. I mean, I never heard of it referred to as a artisan sandwich at all.
It's
handcrafted.
It's not handcrafted.
It's handcrafted.
They're all the same shape.
And you know what? They're not handcrafted because they use tongs.
Oh, true.
Tong crafted.
Anyway. And that's how you started organically. See? Wow. There you go.
That was good.
Issue 31 of ComiCentric. And on today's show, we have Mr. Miguel Acedo and Mr. Peter Millini. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Yeah. And so that's how you begin organically. Just keep going.
Fantastic.
Right.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. How have you been?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you.
Mr. Professor. You've come here and I got one question for you. Do you like comics?
I love comics.
Okay, cool. Because they told me to keep it easy on you. Because I was going to ask you about duality of man and the existence of God, but I was told not to ask you that.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, I know. So let's go back to comics then.
Yeah.
I think comics are more complicated.
You think so? Well, the man writes comics for a living. Not for a
I don't go that far, but
you're a professor for a living.
Yeah,
Right? That's what you do for a living. But you do dabble
in comics,
in writing, storytelling.
Yes.
You don't draw.
I wish I could.
Yeah. See, what's up with you writers? It's always say like, I wish I could draw, but and then artists are like, I wish I could write.
I think it's easier to learn how to write.
I think so. I mean, genuinely, I think every kid that loves art and wants to draw, I think they start off trying, right? And you work on it, and you kind of progress, but there's a plateau, right? Like genuinely, I was never able to break through that plateau.
And you're stuck there.
I was stuck there. So I said, you know what? I love art. I love illustration. It's just not for me.
Okay. I mean, that plateau is a place where a lot of people stay and never get out of. Why not go back and try something else?
I don't know, but now that you mention it, I do remember taking like art classes in high school, and I drew the hell out of a rose one time.
Okay.
And I did the whole shading and everything. It looked like a rose. I was very proud of that rose. But, I think the other thing is that sometimes, some people are self-taught. Practice a lot and whatnot. I don't know if I wasn't motivated to focus on that aspect of like growing as an artist.
Okay.
But the other thing I also I think about sometimes is resources. Like I wish I had teachers, like art teachers, more art teachers in my life, right? Because I can only think back to my life where I had one art teacher, and it was in high school. Right?
Laura?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One thing, we went to the same high school.
We did go to the same high school.
You're just like a year behind?
Yeah, I'm a year behind. I graduated in 2001, yes.
Okay. Yeah, Rora was great.
Oh,
Don't get
yeah.
me wrong. Rora was great. She definitely gave encouragement to people who didn't deserve it. I'll tell you the truth now,
Well, now you just bursted my bubble.
No, because I would like to include myself in that,
Right, yeah.
She would tell me things and I'd be like trying to absorb it. Yeah. And I'm like, what's she talking about? Because she'd try to encourage you in her own way. Mm-hmm. But I think it was like a backhanded compliment in a weird way. I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I vaguely remember, but I remember her.
I don't remember a lot of interactions with her. I just remember the things that she did teach us. We did like a lot of different art projects. I do remember having to draw a rose. I mean, Pete laughs at me all the time because I talk about my scroll.
The scroll.
I draw these scrolls all the time. It's like what I can draw a scroll.
Okay.
Right.
Like with the loop and everything.
With the loop, and I can make it look distressed, aged. Right. Pete's seen this. I've even offered to do a scroll variant cover. Right. We've never gone through with it, but hopefully one day I'll get my opportunity.
Yeah. So you do have art skill. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Basic art skill. But I think that's everybody in life. Everybody is a beginner, a starter at something. Right?
Even in writing.
Even in writing, definitely. There are people that say that, I teach writing, so I get a lot of students that say, "Oh, I can't write."
Yeah.
total lie because again, I teach creative writing, storytelling, right? So everybody's been exposed to storytelling. Right. Everybody's seen cartoons. Everybody's watched movies, TV shows. So it's already hardwired in you. You just need to learn the technique. And I think, for someone who's an artist like yourself, right, you've learned that technique because you've practiced it over and over and over again. So it's like second nature, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's seeing those patterns, like you said, watching those TV shows and watching those patterns and then be like able to replicate with your own twist.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, but it's just going through with it, the follow through, if you will.
Exactly.
The hardest part.
That's the hardest part.
Hardest part.
Okay. See, in that case, that's where I'm plateauing. Yeah. I can't follow through. I've been doing like this podcast and stuff, and I've been doing little blurbs for each episode. And sometimes it's easy to write them, and sometimes it's just I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Right.
So I just put my thoughts into like paragraphs and then see what works.
Well, no, I think that's good too because I think anybody that does anything in life, if it's every time you do something, it's easy. What's the point of doing it, right? My best example is like, sometimes I've written stories or developed stories that came kind of easy. I kind of know what I want to do with it. Then I've tried to develop some stories that never get off the launching pad. Really? Because it's hard. They're just, they're very, maybe not necessarily a profound idea I'm trying to explore, but it's more like, what do I really want to do with it? I don't know yet, right? And I think that comes from like experience growing. Then also sometimes like I think as a creator or an artist, regardless what you do in life, you're not ready to tackle certain projects. Right. And you just kind of have to grow until you're ready and you have the skills and then you tackle it and you'll probably do better the second time.
Like, for example, you want to write a book about quantum physics. What do you know about quantum physics,
The only thing I know is what Reed Richards would probably tell me,
See, okay.
But then I don't even know if that's true because it's comics, right? But I would hope that there's some truth to that, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. The ultimate nullifier is an actual physical thing.
I would hope so.
Yeah. So I get it. Okay. And at that point, I mean, what would you tell someone?
Just do it, really. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel very fortunate. I would tell people, right? Like life passes by really quick. Truth. Right. Honestly, I'm almost 40 years old. I don't feel 40 years old at all. Right. I still feel like I'm 18, 20 years old sometimes. Right. Just because I think I'm surrounded by story, creation, imagination. New, fresh. Exactly. And, with that said, you just got to do it. Right. I feel very fortunate that my career, I hate to say it this way, kind of landed on my lap just because I started pursuing something that I love. Right. Did I, when I was a teenager, did I think I would ever be an educator? No. When I was a teenager, did I ever think I would be teaching classes about film or talking about movies or TV shows? No, not at all. But I just kind of figured out that it's what I love to do. Right. And then when I'm in it, there were people that were kind enough to tell me, hey, you know what? You can do this as a career. Really, I can, right? So what's the path? Figure out what that path is, and then, it's going to open up a brand new world to you. So that's why I kind of say I feel like all this landed on my lap because I had no intentions or aspirations of being an educator. Right. And, once I'm kind of in the thick of getting my education, people are telling me like, hey, if you take this coursework or you get this degree, it will open up these doors. Okay, now I know what the path is. I'm going to pursue this path and see where it leads me.
And it led you to a nice place up in the hills.
Absolutely. University Hills, right?
University Hills, yeah. Yeah. It's nice. You got the McDonald's right across the street. You could eat any McRibs as you want. Right.
I could.
You've made it, like you said, it landed on your lap. Not a lot of people are going to have that. A lot of people are going to struggle. A lot of people we just had Javier Hernandez here, and he had his comic book one issue made into a movie. Yeah. So something landed on his lap, and he was able to take that advantage of that. Right. It doesn't happen very often to a lot of people. And how would you react if that were to happen to you? It would not have happened to you, if you ask. What would you think you'd be doing now?
I have no idea, but Javier, is super fortunate that he came up with like an intellectual property that someone saw life in beyond just a comic book, right? And I don't say just a comic book to be like demeaning, but we live in a world where, you know, if we're talking about big business, companies, studios, they want to see that the idea is more than just what it is, because they want it to be what? They want it to be a comic, they want it to be a TV show, they want it to be a movie, they want it to be a t-shirt, a lunchbox, right?
The toys and everything.
Exactly. And you know, Javier's fortunate because the truth is that there's people that will struggle for their entire lives and never have one of their ideas produced into a feature film, right? But getting to the question at hand, right? What would I be doing? I'd probably be doing the same thing, right?
Think so?
Because, you know, I've loved story my entire life. I loved movies. You know, that's the only thing I could ever think of, right? When like I would go home from school, I would either put on a movie, like a VHS, because I'm that old, right? Put on a VHS, or watch wrestling. I loved wrestling.
Cool.
And so my mind is always thinking about storytelling one way or another. When I say like things landed in my lap, is I said, I mean in the sense that I went out there and actually did something, right? Like you actually have to do something for doors to open up, right? So went out there, got my education. I was lucky enough to meet a mentor, someone who cares, right? And they're the ones that kind of guide you, right? When you meet that person, right? And, you know, once I kind of find out what the path is and I figure out, okay, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, right? I'd probably still be trying to figure out how I can make a living off of my stories, off of my ideas, off of giving people feedback on their stories.
Right.
But that kind of gets sped up by when you know, like I said, I met a mentor who kind of pushed me in the right direction. That's why I think meeting a mentor is super important sometimes.
Yeah, you do need guidance in life, you know, and whether it be family, it would be a mentor outside of the family.
Absolutely.
Especially if it's something you want to do and they're in the field that you want to do it in. It's hard for people to get too. That is definitely something that fell into the lap.
Definitely.
You know?
The other thing too, I think, you know, I give this advice to my students all the time. You can't be afraid to ask for help, I think. You know, sometimes I think just because we're individuals, we're very proud and we don't want to sound dumb, you know? Like, you know, you've heard that that saying, like, there's no such thing as a dumb question, right? But I live by that, right? So I tell my students all the time, don't be afraid to ask others for help. People that are more knowledgeable than you, people that have more experience than you. Ask them for their opinion, their advice, and good things will happen, right?
Yeah, because the way I've always seen it, the dumb question after it's been asked isn't a dumb question anymore because it gets answered, right?
Not at all.
Right?
Exactly.
It's out there and it's no longer dumb because it's available to everyone to understand. And there might be people who don't understand as well.
No, well, I think that's my experience too. I think, you know, a lot of times when I do something I don't know, I have tons and tons of questions, right? And I assume that if I have those questions, there's got to be someone else who has those same questions.
Right. And we hear that time and time again, yet people don't really do that.
I think because we care too much about what other people think about us.
Oh,
at least when we're younger. When we're younger, we do.
You know, I never really. Because I was too self-involved for myself to really give a shit what anyone else did.
Yeah. Well, but did you ask questions, though? Or you just didn't care to ask questions?
I guess if I was curious enough, I would.
Gotcha.
You know, but if I really didn't care, then what I would ask, you know?
See, that's the other thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, when someone doesn't have a question, you know, you kind of have to ask yourself, do they not care, right? Yeah. And I think sometimes as an educator, that's the hardest thing, too, right? Like, I try to explain stuff until I'm blue in the face.
Yeah.
Open the floor for questions. And then you get the students that don't ask the question. So I either assume it's sunk in, they get it, or they just don't care, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, that's like the tricky waters we kind of have to navigate through sometimes.
I want to say, you can tell by their eyes, though. If they're like glassy and, you know, they're far away, then they didn't get it, right?
But here's the other thing. I think we live in a world where, like, people's attention span is so short now. I mean, I come across a lot of people that just have short attention spans.
Oh, yeah.
So
I have a guppy attention span.
I'm the same way, you know. Yeah. It's hard for me to kind of pay attention to, like, a guest speaker for a long time. Yeah. Or even when I read comics, I'm going to be honest, like, you know, I can go a few pages, but I can get tired of what I'm reading. And I have to just, put it down, take a breath, and take a sip of water, and then get back to the story, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I can relate with that. Certain books, it's hard. They drag, and it's sometimes they're big and they're long.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And they're black. And so sometimes, you know, that one, I'll edit it out. Fine. See, this is why we can't do it live.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I'll leave it in.
Yeah, you'll never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, said it's in.
Leave it in. I don't believe in censorship. I'll go ahead and say that right now.
Oh, I'm not even editing this.
Oh,
I'm
man.
just going straight. Yeah. All right. We're good. And we'll carry on. No, where were we? Again, short attention span.
Exactly. Yeah. Prime example.
Prime example right in front of you. Well, I mean, it's led you down this path. Now, I guess we can talk about a little bit about your writing. You've been writing. I know I got your Poe book a while back. I know you got
my Poe book.
Your Poe book. I know you had like the channel. I don't know what happened to that.
That's complete.
Yeah?
That's complete. I mean, with my collaborator, Janae, if you're out there listening, we gotta put it out there.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's done?
It's been done. It's 34 pages of story.
Okay.
Black and white.
Yeah.
It's completely done. The book is completely done. We just got to send it to the printer. We just got to pull the trigger on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
For all the dads out there.
Yeah. All the rocker dads.
All the rocker dads. All right. Guys, get ready. Because, that's the last thing I heard. It was like, that's sorry. And I was like, all right, that sounds kind of weird. But all right, let's go with it. Anything else you're working on?
I'm always constantly writing. I mean, the main thing I want to hype up right now, just for those of you that are listening, on Kickstarter, Gordo the Teenage Flying Saucer.
Which just started, actually. The Kickstarter just started the
Exactly. Along with my great pal and co-creator and co-collaborator, Peter Malini, who's across the table from me right now.
Shit, he's here. He's
here.
here the
He's
whole
actually
time.
here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Peter Malini. Valeria.
Valeria is on art, phenomenal artist, continues to get better. So if you got issue 1, you're in for a treat in regards to issue 2. And if you continue following the journey, issue 3 is going to be better than 2, 4 is going to be better than 3, and so on and so on and so on.
Damn, I can't wait for issue 300.
Hey, I think Peter and I have enough story to get us there. We have enough story.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Since we're on the topic of El Gordo, let's go back. How did you guys even start it up? I know this story, but let's go with your story.
Peter, kick it off.
No.
Well,
I mean, I guess.
All right, go. So you haven't talked anyway.
I haven't talked. So it all started with me and Miguel are big fans of public domain books.
Right.
And there's a lot of weird stuff in public domain.
Right.
And like a lot of cowboys out of fucking Jungle Book, right?
Abandoned superheroes.
Yeah. Abandoned superheroes.
A lot of weird stuff out there.
Sounds like Toy Story. There's abandoned.
Yeah. And I think we found a list, right? It was like
we found like this big comprehensive list.
Yeah.
I think we even kicked around the idea of doing Baloo, right? Because Baloo from the Jungle Book is public domain.
Yeah, really?
So I think we were kind of trying to come up with like a pitch for Jungle Book characters and whatnot.
Okay, that would have been interesting.
But yeah, we found this list of like it was nothing crazy.
If you got a Baloo book, why don't you just put him on a plane? And he has a little kid, a bear that rides behind him.
That could be a really cool cartoon.
You guys already thought of that, damn it. Anyway,
but it was something crazy. It was like something like 500 characters or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
there's tons of public domain characters that are available.
And we were like we meet up once a week, and we were like, all right, next week we'll pick some and we'll figure it out. I think originally we wanted to do a team, right? We wanted to make it was a superhero team.
So you guys went in with the intention of picking somebody and making something out of it.
We were definitely going to do it. And let's kind of do a flashback. Baloo was going to be on this team, if I remember correctly. And so was Bat Boy. Remember Bat Boy?
Oh, yeah.
From the National Enquirer?
Yeah.
He's public domain.
He's a bat. He's a boy. Yeah.
We definitely talked about doing a superhero team. And I remember now that we're speaking about it, the Bat Boy was on that team.
Man, I remember Bat Boy almost saved the United States of America from blowing up.
Actually, I think he did.
He did? Oh, thank God.
But it's part of the secret history of the United States of America.
Of course, we don't talk about that. He's in the cave up in the Minnesota mountain somewhere, right?
Something like that. He's got to be fed once a year.
Yeah, something like that, right?
God, so you subscribe to the Enquirer? Sorry, it's an old magazine. For those who don't know. Bat Boy.
It was just, and then we looked at all this stuff and it was really weird. And then the one that Miguel brought up, he's like, oh, what is this fat man human flying saucer?
Yeah.
And the funniest thing was, like a year before, I had bought a box of comics, and issue 2 was in there
Of that.
A fat man human flying saucer, and I remember thinking it was so weird. I took a picture of it. It's still on my Instagram somewhere. And I said, I'm going to adapt this one day. because it's such a weird idea.
Right.
And so when he brought it up, I was like, wait, I know exactly what you're talking about. Right?
So it was meant to be. It was like written in the stars.
Yeah. Holy Toledo.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
so we just started talking about it, and then it was hard to find those issues. It took me about 2 years to like dig down all those issues.
Okay.
No, it was only 3.
Oh, in 2 years for 3 issues?
Yeah, because they were hard. I would go to like
You're the worst comic collector ever.
No, that's funny because I would go to like people that were known for having like old stuff, and they never knew what it was. I would tell them like, oh, and they're like, I don't know what that is.
Well, there's a lot of stuff people don't know what. That's why they're public domain, because people
Yeah.
don't know what they are.
Yeah. And then I think he got a little bump right when there was like a book. It was like something about the worst superheroes ever. Or something like that.
Yeah, actually, you're talking about that that little collection, right? Like, yeah, I think there's 2 of them. There's like the worst superheroes ever, and then there's like the worst villains ever, if I'm not mistaken, right?
And he's on the cover, like Batman the Human Flying Saucer's on the cover.
Okay.
And we're like, oh shit. And then we found the book and we read through the origins and all that, right? And it was just like, and it just took us a while to figure out how to make it work, because we attempted to make like a straight adaptation,
Yeah.
but it was like the concept was too silly. It was just too
Was too white?
Something like that.
No, 'cause it was a running joke that he was super fat, right?
Oh, right.
So literally the first page, he's eating dinner and his mom is like, I thought you were on a diet. And he's like, I am. I only ate 3 chickens.
My
Right.
God. Like full chickens?
Yeah.
Like, oh, jeez.
And so it was a running joke. He was super fat, but he was agile, right?
Yeah.
He could do flips.
Good move.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he ends up saving this alien. And the alien's stuck under a tree.
Yeah.
And he's able to, like, 'cause he's so big, he fucking, like, jumps on the tree and it pops off of him, whatever, right?
Of course, sure.
And the alien rewards him by giving him this formula. And it smells like root beer, right?
Yeah, it's like a root beer type
Yeah.
beverage.
And so he drinks it thinking it's root beer.
Wait, he gives him a formula or beer?
And he gives him a formula. But
Okay.
it smells like root beer.
A formula that smells like root beer? So
Yeah.
it's a root beer.
No. It's a formula.
Oh.
But he thought it was root beer.
Oh.
And so he ends up drinking it, and it gives him the ability to turn into a flying saucer.
Interesting.
But like a full-on flying saucer, like a flying saucer with eyes.
Okay.
It's weird, right?
Carry on.
And the book just gets weirder and weirder from there.
Yeah.
Like remember the baby?
Oh, yeah.
There's like a little an alien that he has like a telepathy,
Yeah.
and he's super evil. But if you wet him, he turns into a baby.
Why don't you use that in the new book?
We might.
By the way, we've talked about adapting that character, so, hopefully down a couple arcs.
Yeah.
The baby?
The baby character.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
This alien mastermind.
Yeah.
Turns
Gets
into a baby.
wet.
Yeah.
Turns wet.
Yeah. So, like, if he pees himself, he'll turn back into a baby?
Maybe. They never talked about that.
Hey, if you want to come in and co-script that issue,
I'm just
hey,
saying.
I mean, you're giving us ideas, so yeah.
This baby can have, its potential.
A lot of potential.
Yeah.
And like I said, there was only 3 issues, but they put a lot of characters in there. Like there was a lot of just random characters.
He fights a lion?
No, kind of. He fights
The gorilla.
Yeah, it's a big gorilla, and it was the Anti-Man.
Yeah.
He's like a big like fish guy.
So, I mean, all these characters are also public domain, or
Yeah,
Yeah, because they're part. They're in those books. Yes.
like no one else picked them out beforehand and made a completely better book with any, like Fishman or whatever?
Well, not that we found so far, but even if they did, we could still use them because public domain.
Yeah,
Is Winnie the Pooh gonna show up?
maybe someday.
Maybe.
But
Anyway.
no, but then so we thought about doing a straight adaptation.
Yeah.
and it just didn't work. We just couldn't make it work. And then we talked about doing a serious version of it.
Yeah. That didn't work either.
How serious was it?
Oh, just more mature. Now, I don't want to say dark, but just, if this really existed in this world, this is the way it would be. But then I think we kind of picked a healthy medium.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of old school, kind of has like a Silver Age feel to it.
Okay.
But still modern enough that it's not hyper cheesy, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of Silver Age comics can be a little bit cheesy, right?
Yeah.
So, and not that we don't like that, not that we don't want to do it, but,
Yeah.
That's
but
part of their charm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we were hoping that we could capture some of that fun, that adventure type of stories, right? Or optimism of being like, what's it like being a teenage superhero, but also kind of make it realistic. And, if there's a kid in 2020, 2022 who gets these powers, what are they going to be confronted with, right?
Yeah.
So
A lot of pubescent, pre-pubescent stuff.
Down the line, yeah.
Acne, and, you know, girls and hair where there shouldn't be any.
We will see when we
I'm
get
just
there.
saying, if you guys have 300 issues, there's a lot
Very
of stuff.
special.
Oh yeah. We're gonna do
A very special episode.
Very special
very
episode.
special episode.
I'm just saying, yeah, it's. I don't know. It's daunting, man, to think about this character you just developed is going to continue to grow.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. I think Pete and I, you know, I think out of all the characters that we have spoken about, because we've spoken about a lot of different series and ideas and a lot of stuff that we kind of developed and we talked about, like actually doing something with. Like Gordo's the one that we ran with, right?
Yeah.
So I think, you know, Peter and I saw something special in that character and what we could do with that character. Because again, like we did a similar thing with all these different kind of characters or series ideas that we had before. It just so happens that, I don't know, something about Gordo just connects with us and that we want to tell his adventures, his stories.
Okay. I mean, earlier you were talking about these ideas that you don't go anywhere. Then you probably save, though, right? I mean, you can use for further stuff down the line, right? I mean, does any of that come to play when you were starting this?
Well, you know, for me personally, I think I'll let Peter answer this himself. But you know, I do on my computer and like notepads. I have tons of ideas for like story plots or scenes or what if moments, right? And I personally don't know where they fit. They're just like a random idea that comes to me from the ether somewhere, right? And, you know, I write them down because I think it's like a cool thing, you know, a cool line of dialogue or a memorable moment. But I don't know for who they would be because they're clearly not for anything that's pre-established or anything that exists, you know, in a complete form yet. So I mean, definitely, like, you know, I can pick and choose from that catalog of stuff that I've developed and created. And again, Peter, what about you?
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's stuff that like I've thought about doing series, and then they kind of become Gordo characters, right? I always say like, oh, you know, like I have ideas for like a certain superhero, and we're like, well, what if the fucking, you know, this character works for the general, and you know, he's part of this team, and this and that. Yeah. And I mean, in my head, sometimes it's like I have my own headcanon of like, oh, that's cool, you know, like it ties in
because you want to make it cool and you want to make it okay. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, I think, you know, I think me and Peter approached it by like on a macro level, meaning like we weren't just thinking about who is this Gordo, what are his powers, and what's he doing on his first adventure. I think me and Pete, just because we have synergy in terms of like we love like comic book universes.
Yeah. Right.
So the fact of the matter is that I think Peter and I have like an idea of all these different kind of characters that exist within like Gordo's universe that can be their own miniseries, right? We always joke around to saying like, man, we're either going to kill V or we're going to have to find other artists who draw those like miniseries because we got so many ideas for like these kind of different corners of the Gordo universe. So we're excited about that.
And then all those ideas you have in your archivals, you know, you can boom, 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 boom.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Does that make it easier then?
In some ways it does, and you know, some ways it's a good feeling to know that those ideas that I have written down won't be completely abandoned, that they'll be repurposed and kind of exist in a story as opposed to just existing in a notebook or in a computer file or whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, like the part where you go, my mind is open to the ether. It's like you're a faucet and it just flows.
Absolutely. I think as a creator, especially, you know, I can talk a little bit about this if Pete wants to touch it too, he can. But when you work in a collaborative capacity, whether it's, you know, you're on a creative team on a comic book or you're part of like the filmmaking process, a writer, a director, producer, right? It's about give and take, right?
Right.
Like, what do I bring to the table? What do I pass on? What does someone else bring to the table? What do they pass on? And what do we get as a result? And I think that's why I love like making film, making comics so much. It's because I don't have to stand on my own, right? Like I'm collaborating with others to kind of get the best out of this idea that I can. So
you're asking for help.
Absolutely.
Taking it back just a little bit.
Yeah.
That, I mean, there's no me in team, but there's definitely meat.
That's true.
You know,
that's true,
and that's what you want. You want that.
We want that meat.
That meat.
Definitely.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm just saying that's how you create. You know, in a team, you want to put your thing together, create a mass, if you will, of meat.
Yeah.
You know, cook it in.
Love the analogy. Love the analogy. As a meat eater, I love that analogy.
Cool. I'm glad you got it. I don't have to explain further. But yeah, a team thing. Trust me, I've been in situations like that, and it's hard because you really want to go with what you want to do, and then they want to do what they want to do.
Well, I think, the thing is, I known Peter for a long time, right? You know, obviously not as long as you know him, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, Pete probably met you, 2004, 2005?
Yeah, around there.
Yeah. And so, that's quite a while. That's like 15 years now, right? And, for a long time, I was seeing Pete at least once a week. He was my comic book guy, right?
Right.
He's the one who was telling me, hey, we got to sale on these trades. And he knew that I'm a sucker for comics, and I'd be blowing $100, $200, $300 on trades because, they're 50% off. What a deal, right? But so basically, Pete has always been the person that feeds my addiction, right? But the fact of the matter is just, having a working rapport with Pete.
The pushing man.
Exactly. Have a working rapport with Pete, but also knowing that Pete and I share a lot of the similarities in terms of like there's specific characters that we talk about. Yeah, why doesn't anybody do anything with those characters? Or remember that one series, or remember that issue? So I appreciate that about Pete, because it's just like, oh man, I thought I was the only one that liked that character.
Yeah, okay.
So with Pete, like I said, it's a give and take thing, right? Like we've developed a rapport in terms of what our common goal is for the story, and we go from there. Yeah. But I can also say that I've collaborated with a lot of other people in my life, and it's not as easy, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I have no problem working with Pete. Definitely have no problem working with V. You know, so it's a great experience working on this Gordo book.
So you've had sour grapes before?
I wouldn't say sour grapes. I just creative differences,
okay.
And I think it's common, like especially when you work with creators that maybe have a completely different vision than you.
Yeah.
It's harder to find that common ground. You can work towards it. Yeah. Like I've worked with plenty of people that have a completely different vision than me. I've tried to make it work, right? And I do my best to make it work because I want projects to work. Why wouldn't I want a project to work?
That makes sense.
But at the same time, it's just like the end result isn't as strong as I had intended it to be, just because we're two different cooks and we're putting in our own spices, and sometimes those spices don't add to the flavor profile and just make it taste a little weird, right?
You're trying to make white rice, trying to make arroz rojo, you know?
Exactly.
And at the end, you end up with brown rice. I get it.
But you know what? I also think that's good too, because then you learn how to work with people that are completely different than you. So you learn how to, at least for me, you learn how to communicate a little bit better overall, and you can kind of pick up those new skills and kind of make sure that your future collaborations are a little bit easier to stomach, so to speak, if we're kind of using the food analogy tonight.
Yeah,
so.
I love it. It's good. I love it. It's not that I'm hungry or anything. It's like food analogies.
Right.
No, and I don't know. When it comes to stuff like that, I wish it was more buffets, if you will. You know?
Definitely. Who doesn't love a good buffet?
Who doesn't like a buffet, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I love a McRib, and I could eat a McRib every day.
Exactly.
You know? So it takes both types. Okay.
True.
I don't know what we're talking about anymore. I'm just kidding.
Oh, I thought we were going to Golden Corral.
Oh, okay. And then
right after this.
Right after this.
No, but let's go back. I mean, I get it. It's working with people. It's hard. It's easy. It can be easy, but it's better when you're on the plateau with someone else, if you will. You know, on the level, you understand each other a lot better. You come from the same background, if you will, and you're not leaning to the left and you're not leaning to the right. You're kind of both going down the middle. And sorry. Food analogies went too far for you.
Too far.
So that's what we're coming back to.
No, I got you.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. No, I get it, and I'm really seriously. I hope this book goes pretty far, you know. And I know you guys always have crazy ideas coming.
Yeah.
And I hear you guys talk, and you guys are like, "What the fuck are they talking about?"
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, definitely appreciate that. Thank you, Enrique. Right. So, regardless of how far it goes, I think this is, for me, I can speak right now. Pete can chime in too, but man, this is a character that I don't want to stop working on.
Cool. Yeah.
We're hoping that the Kickstarter, by the way, it's on Kickstarter now, so you can go and back that. Yeah, definitely. You can go ahead and back that and support the book if you believe in independent creators, right?
Yeah. There you go.
And if you don't believe in independent creators,
what are you doing listening to this podcast?
Exactly.
Danger.
But the fact of the matter is Gordo is one of those characters that whether Pete and I can get a movie deal out of it, I don't think that's why we came up with this. But I think we'll for the rest of our lives, as long as we're fortunate to know each other, and then also have V involved as well, we'll always talk about this character, and we'll always try to put out Gordo stories out there. So that's what I'm super looking forward to, because it's a character that I do care about. I think he's fun. I think if given the right spotlight, I think a lot of people would gravitate to it.
You're not a dad?
No, I'm not a dad.
Yeah, you are, dude. You have a Gordo, because this is what it sounds like to be a dad. Dude, you sound like a proud parent right there.
Well, in that respect, yes, and so me and Pete are both dads. we share custody of this child named Gordo, and then also with V.
Of course,
share her with V. But definitely, no, I am proud of Gordo. Gordo's a fun character, and
potential.
I think, I do think, I think that's why Pete and I we spoke about it over and over again over the years, and it's always the character that kind of rises to the surface for us. And so for that reason, we just had to go run with him and say, this is going to be the character that we work on together. And we try to make our mark with.
Because it was always something hard to develop too. Because even when we wanted to do a modern version of it, we didn't want to go super silly. But then, what does flying saucer powers mean? That's a whole different thing. You can say super speed and all that stuff. But what are flying saucer powers?
Well, it should be in the name. You should be flying in a saucer.
Yeah, right.
So
So there's been a bunch of different variations. At one point he was a full on robot, right? He was and it's just then we just decided the whole idea of he has the potential to be a flying saucer. So he has flying saucer abilities. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that we kind of kept in the back of our mind that we wanted to explore. I mean, just like any superhero. I mean, they don't start out mastering their powers, right? The best comic book characters or superheroes have always been those characters that have to learn how to use their flight or their strength and in just what situation. So I think that's going to be part of the fun with Gordo, is kind of figuring out how can he grow and how powerful can he get? Because we were actually talking about this the other night. We were talking about, so how powerful is Gordo in a fight? What are his possibilities or what are the probabilities of his powers? So we actually got into it pretty deep, right?
Danger. I'm scared now. Because if you're willing to talk unlimited potential, then red beams coming out of his eyes could possibly be a thing.
It could be. I don't think we're there yet.
No, I'm just saying, throwing the weirdest thing I can think of that wouldn't fit in the situation. But I get it. It's interesting where you guys are going to take it. I look forward to that part as well. You're scaring me though with this.
There's some stuff.
It's
very dark.
Because he said you guys are talking his limitations, and I would figure you guys would have that by now.
No, because we still really.
So that would be an endless conversation then, really.
I think it is, but going back to what I said earlier, the cool thing about Gordo and working with Pete is that we've talked a lot about who he is as a character, his supporting cast, and like I said, we have story ideas for things that happen decades before Gordo was even born. Stuff that happens far into the future with a future version of Gordo, right? So we have this timeline in our head of things that we want to kind of incorporate with his story. So the fact that we haven't figured out exactly what his powers are, I think that's the most exciting thing for me, because we get to explore them in those kind of future storylines that we kind of I wouldn't say we have them completely plotted out, but I think we have a good foundation for the story arcs that we want to do in the future.
Right. Man, there's a lot of character development going on here. My brain's freaking rattling.
And it's funny because even going back to we've written 5 issues.
Okay.
And even when we look at some of those scripts, there's stuff that we just wrote in and oh, that's how his powers work now. That's just
And now this is canon.
No, not in a bad way. Not in like a loophole, like a plot hole way. But it's like no, we need a situation
resolved.
We need to explain and resolve that situation. So it's like
no.
Yeah. Like there's a whole thing where like I think at one point
no spoilers, Pino.
Batman bat repellent is Batman bat cubs.
No, I think at one point we had to have him run around, right? And then we're like, why doesn't he fly? And then we're like, oh, it's because of this, and oh, it's because of that. Like,
Okay.
so it's like we're coming up like not limitations on the fly, but like
all right.
explanations.
So just to add to that, just to dovetail, essentially. I mean, I read I watch movies all the time, watch comics all the time, and I mean, I think all of us here could probably say, we have questions about why certain characters don't use their powers at certain instances.
Right.
I think at least me and Peter are trying to be like have a concerted effort to like figure it out. Because I know the type of comic book reader I am. I'm very nitpicky, man.
Okay.
Like I love comic books in general as a medium, but I read a lot of comic books from like that's a loophole. Like that doesn't make sense, right? I mean, does the writer really want me to kind of like just turn my brain off completely?
Yeah.
And I think with Gordo, like we don't want people to turn their brain off and just like be completely entertained. We want them to kind of understand that like, hey, Pete, Miguel, Valeria, they kind of know what they're doing, and everything that happens in the story is for a reason.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You want them for later on be like, oh, go back to the page.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
Yeah. You want them O's and Ahs, don't you? All right.
And I think that's hard to do, though, right? Because I mean, if we go through like the histories of comics and continuity,
it's a mess.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess. But I think Peter and I had this conversation a while ago. Like when Marvel first became Marvel, like their continuity was tight. It was really, really tight.
Yeah.
It only became convoluted when they started introducing more characters, more books, more editorials, or more editors, I should say, right? Things started going, I don't want to say off the rails, but it became a little looser, right? So I think what Pete and I really want to do, along with Valeria, is tell a really expansive story, but something that's still tight and doesn't go off the rails with issue 2.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
issue 2 is a little.
I like how you pointed out issue 2.
Yeah.
Which the Kickstarter it's actually going live for that, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's interesting. You guys are fucking throwing me through a loop because you guys pretty much gave me a lot of information right now, and my brain's swirling around. I have some of the stuff I didn't even know. And you're talking about storytelling in a way that you're very passionate about it. You like storytelling. You like telling people's stories, don't you?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah. You be those guys that sit on the rock and around a campfire and start telling people's stories all night, right?
I mean, again, Pete, you can jump in anytime, but for me, I mean, what else is there but storytelling in life? I mean, we hang out with our family, our parents, our brothers, our sisters, our significant others, and we tell them about our day. That's telling a story.
That's a story.
I think we are surrounded by storytelling. I mean, even again, one of the most famous sayings of all time, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Every picture tells a story, right? So again, we are bombarded with images everywhere we look, right? There's a story to be told, right? So for me, absolutely, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I think about storytelling in one way or another. 24/7, right? And that's the only mode I understand, right? Talking about storytelling, I always tell my students, right? Like, if you practice storytelling, meaning you screen films, watch TV shows, read books, read comics, poetry, even, right? You're going to become a better communicator, or at least be armed with the tools to be a better communicator. Now, I'm not the most well-spoken person in the world. I don't have the largest vocabulary in the world, but I do know how to express myself when the time comes, right? And I promise you, I can probably express myself better with the written word than the spoken word, right? But the fact of the matter is that storytelling is everywhere we go every single day. So for me, I just thrive on that. I love listening to people's lives, their experiences, what they've learned, the failures they've had, the successes they had, because it's all attached to storytelling, right?
It's all a series of down notes.
Exactly. For some.
No. I mean, it's up and down. It goes up and down, and that is what life really is. It's nothing but ups and downs. And then you want to hear the ups, and a lot of people want to hear the downs. That's why a lot of people have a lot of downs. Yeah. And they don't have anyone to tell these downs, and it eats them up inside.
And that's a great point. Absolutely. Again, teaching writing and storytelling, I say the best stories are the stories that have the ups and downs, right? Like a roller coaster, right? Like you have that part where you're just, kind of making that climb, and then there's the descent, and you get, exhilarated. And, exactly, right? That's most people's life. We have ups and downs, right?
Right.
If your life is always on a positive trajectory, or if your life is like always on a negative trajectory, boring, exactly, right? Life is all about balance, ups and downs, peaks and valleys, right? So totally see what you're saying there.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people just live on the downbeat, and then they can't get on that up, and at that point they go back to writing. They do art. They express themselves in ways they can't do it out there,
right?
But they keep to themselves. They're not asking for help.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, here's the other thing with any outlet you may have in life, it's therapeutic.
Yeah.
Man, my therapy every day is watching a TV show, a movie, reading a book, reading someone else's story, talking to someone about story, right? That's my creative outlet, but I know there's people that love gardening. There's people that love art, painting, right? There's people that love jogging for miles and miles and miles, right?
Which I don't understand, but
I mean, hey, if you love that, that's fine, right? But everybody has their own form of therapy in life, right? So I think the key is just to kind of figure out what that is and kind of move from there.
Figure out what works for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, interesting. Getting a little deep there, though. Because this can help somebody.
I hope so.
You know what you're saying right now could help somebody. Someone could be like out there, like I don't have an expressive outlet. Fucking start writing. Okay, start drawing.
Yeah, or do anything. Yeah, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be creative based. It doesn't have to be art based. Just
run, like you said.
Find something you're passionate about. I mean, whether that's making jewelry, making candles, whatever it is. Find something that you enjoy.
Or rolling on the grass.
That's also fun. Or kind of like go to the top of a little grassy knoll and kind of roll down that little hill.
You ever been down Oregon?
Yeah, I used to do it all the time when I was a kid.
You used to?
Haven't done it in a while. I'll
did
be honest.
Yesterday. No, Sunday. Sorry, I did it Sunday.
How was it?
Fucking great, man.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, as a kid, right?
I love that.
Yeah, you gotta continue doing what you love, right? So maybe if like you're an adult now, if you're listening to this out there, you're an adult and you again don't have an outlet for your emotions, maybe go back to an earlier time in your life. Think about something that you used to do that brought you joy, and why don't you try it again? And then let's see where that takes you.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah.
What am I gonna try? What was I like a child? I used to see crayons.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't do that now, but
I mean,
if I'm going back to a simpler time when I was happier, I was eating.
It can't be as bad as the McRib, so you should be fine.
He's speaking blasphemy now.
Yeah, right? But he has a valid point with it, all right?
Yeah,
as blasphemous as that was, I get it.
You can't be talking trash about the artisan sandwich that is the McRib.
As it's on its farewell tour,
Yeah, how dare you?
I'm telling you, it's just to boost up the sales, bro.
Brought to you by McRib. How dare you?
Just say it.
No, yeah, I get it. And maybe a McRib is what makes you happy. It's a little joy, but hey, I'm just saying you're going to gain a couple of pounds, but find what makes you happy.
But moderation, I mean, again, you don't have to spend hours jogging, but, walk a little.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you'll burn those McRib calories off in no time.
You know what I do?
What?
I walk to go get a McRib.
There you go. And you got to walk back, right?
Yeah, I go to the Eastern McDonald's up by the Cal State.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Next time you're there, stop by. Next time, stop by, say hi.
Well, you live like not that far.
No, I'm saying if you're near campus, stop by. I'll give you a tour.
I have no idea where you're at, though. You know what? I usually hang out with the giant horse.
A horse? An actual horse?
The skeleton horse. You ever been there?
No.
Oh, how can you not? They have a bones of a skeleton of a giant horse.
Where?
I believe it's in one of the buildings when you go.
You're talking about the science building.
Is that what it is? I don't know. I always go and I go talk to they have a horse with giant bones.
Yes, okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know where that building is.
Yeah.
No, I don't teach in that building, but I know where it is. So
you're the worst tour guide ever.
I was like so confused, right?
Yeah, they have a giant horse.
Yeah, they have a giant horse there at Cal State. They also have this award-winning solar-powered car.
Oh, the car, yeah.
Can I drive it?
I mean, I would assume if you get into the sun, it works, right? It's behind this these glass panels, like in the lobby of like the engineering building.
Okay, so I had to steal it, is what you're telling me.
You would have to, but don't do so.
Oh,
Don't talk about it.
'Cause I don't want to become an accomplice.
Yeah,
on
So when it disappears,
don't know where to go.
I don't believe in censorship, but I might take that part out.
No, don't do that.
I don't want you to get in trouble, dang.
Don't steal the car.
Fine.
It's simple as that. Don't steal the car. You can go there and admire it.
Okay, take a picture.
They actually, you know what? They actually made a Hot Wheel based off of that the solar powered car.
Is it the one that's all flat in the back? It's like
Yeah, it's called the Solar Eagle 3, I believe.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on TV.
Yeah.
That was one of the first solar vehicles that went like something miles per hour or something.
Yeah,
like that,
it
right?
won like this big solar powered car race or
Yeah.
whatnot. I forget what year, but I know for a while they made a big deal of that.
Yeah. See, I remember vaguely that, and it was like, oh, it goes XX miles per hour, and that was
Yeah.
the biggest thing. Like,
Yeah.
now look at us now.
Look at us now. We're living in the future.
living
here.
in the future.
Electric cars.
Electric cars. We don't need solar powered cars anymore.
Solar. What is solar? Nothing but electricity from the sun.
Exactly.
How dare they put those things together? Anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah.
sorry. I'm getting angry at the sun here.
Well, yeah, you can't get into the sun
Why not?
because it's doing his job.
No. Anyway, that's storytelling.
All right, there you go.
I was telling a story about how I was angry at the sun.
Well,
All right. Anything else?
oh yeah,
What else?
we're gonna talk about Superman.
I thought we weren't going to talk
Well,
about
we're
Superman.
gonna talk about
I
Superman.
thought we were going to. I thought we were going to save it
just
for
turned
the
a curveball.
special.
I thought we were going to say it for the 30th
The anniversary special.
Oh, it's tonight?
It's tonight. It's the
Okay,
right
okay,
now?
we can talk about. Okay, we can talk about
Is it
it.
happening right now?
It's happening right now.
But he didn't read the.
I didn't read that issue.
That's fine.
That's
No,
okay.
it's a retrospective.
Okay, retrospective of. Okay, so you lead this convo.
I
okay.
leave the combo.
Yeah.
Okay.
You asked the hard hitting questions
Hard-hitting
about
questions.
Superman.
You know what?
So now, yeah. So this month we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of Death of Superman,
Right.
and I can honestly say, if it wasn't for that book, I wouldn't be reading comics.
Wouldn't be or be this deep into him.
Oh, but this deep.
Okay.
That was my first big series, you know, and it just blows my mind that we're 30 years out already. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
You know, I've been reading. I can officially say I've been reading comics longer than I haven't been reading comics. You know.
You've been reading comics longer than Superman's been dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so when they first solicited this a
Right.
few months back, I remember you were there when I was doing the orders, and I said, like, this is really cool. But I said, I remember saying that, like, the only other person I know that would be excited about this,
Right.
as much as I am, is Mr. Miguel right here.
Yeah.
I love that series. Unlike you, were you getting the single issues?
Oh yeah,
The-
oh yeah.
I didn't get the single issues with the exception of the actual Death of Superman.
Yeah.
I was able to get that
Yeah.
issue. What is it, Superman 75?
75,
Yeah,
yeah.
75. So I had that issue. And from that point on, avid actual collector where begging my parents, gotta have these issues.
Nice.
What can I do to get these issues? So like the Reign of Superman
Yeah.
storyline, all that stuff is when I really started collecting. But going back, I do remember getting an early collected edition of the Death of Superman.
Yeah, that was, other than Watchmen, that's
There was
the biggest trade
of all
trade
time?
sign- yeah, for DC Comics.
Yeah. It was one of the first trades I saw in a library.
Yeah.
Well, I got my copy of that trade at Thrifty's.
Oh.
If you remember Thrifty's,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it was on the newsstand. I remember specifically. It's at night, and it's the night before that I was going to go on a camping trip with my uncle.
Cool.
And it was on the shelf. I think the cover price for that was $5.95.
Wow.
For that collected edition. And of course, begged my mom. My mom was super nice. She got it for me. And I said, Mom, I got to read this. My whole idea was I'm going to read this on the way to the camping trip, like
Right.
while we're going
Yeah.
up to the mountain. I mean, again, I have no perception of time as a child, right? And again, what year is this, Pete?
It's
90.
4?
Yeah, so like 30 years ago. So
Yeah, 30 years.
It'll be like 93, 93.
93. Yeah, so I'm probably around 9 years old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember especially like being worried for Superman.
Yeah.
when I'm reading that series. And then when I get to that final issue, and I've told this to Pete many times before, like the whole build-up, like the splash pages, the final battle with Doomsday, the fact that he's like saying his goodbyes to Lois Lane and embracing her and giving her a kiss, and you know his Superman suit's all ripped up and he's bruised and he has puncture wounds. Like it's one of my all-time favorite comics. I mean, the artwork is phenomenal in that issue as well. But I still remember the end of that comic where it said, you know, this is a day that a Superman died. That got me. I remember that's the first time I ever remember crying for a story that was written. Not again, you know, I cried for movies. You know, when you're a kid, sometimes you cry. But that's the first time that I ever read a story that made me cry. So for me, the death of Superman is like a super important story. And if I reflect back on it, I still think it's like the best death issue for a superhero.
Oh yeah.
Like in terms of the impact, how
big it was.
Yeah, how big it was.
The crater left.
Exactly. You know, in terms of how it impacted the characters. Man, that panel where we see like the Kents crying in front of the TV.
Yeah.
Oh man, that always got me as a kid.
Because they're watching the whole thing.
Yeah. And they can't be there. They're in Kansas.
In that book. In that book, there's a story. You gotta get it.
Okay, I'm definitely gonna get it.
And the other thing too, is I remember I started reading comics like right before that.
Right.
Because I remember going to the store and telling me and my dad, "Oh, they're killing Superman."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What do you mean they're killing Superman?" Right? And then when you think about it, you think like, "Oh, it's gonna be something crazy," right? You never expected him to get beat to death, you know. Like,
and that's the thing, right? Where I think it's brilliant storytelling because you had characters like Lex Luthor, that's this intelligent guy who's trying to like use his brain to bring down Superman when he's failed. Then you have a combination of like brute force and intelligence, like Brainiac, who's failed many times to bring down Superman. But it's this mindless monster that is able to just run through Superman. It's again, I think it's a phenomenal read, you know.
It's one of those things, Superman's always been, you know, brawn. You never think of him as mind.
No.
Right? But he beats up Lex Luthor and Brainiac, these minds. It was over, you know. And then, like you said, Doomsday with no mind. Superman has nothing against that.
No. And you know the interesting thing? So Pete and I talk about it because I know Pete knows that I'm a hardcore Superman fan. Like, my favorite character in the entire DC universe, my favorite character in all of comics, right? And we always talk about like, man, why don't they respect Superman? Like, why don't they respect Superman's rogue gallery, right? And the thing is, like, because I think writers and storytellers kind of like pick and choose what they want Superman to be, which is fine because that happens during different eras. But what happened to those old school stories where Superman was like a super scientist or a genius and he's building robots, right? Like people dismiss that, right? Like my favorite version of Superman is like the depiction of him not just being the brawn but the intellect as well, right? Because he is like
the brain is a muscle.
The brain is a muscle.
Right. And I've loved that depiction of Superman, right? But you're right with this character of Doomsday. There's this mindless creature that only knows one thing: destroy. I think it's a powerful story.
Yeah, and then the thing is too, like a lot of people make the arguments of like you can't do those type of science fiction Superman stories because people aren't into them. But then I think like something like All Star Superman proves that's not true.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Like here, you know, we were not getting to Grant Morrison too much because that's a whole different conversation. But
it's a whole other issue.
But Grant Morrison's 12-issue run on All Star Superman is just like it's simple. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. It's probably the least complicated thing he's written. I mean,
that's exactly
it's pretty deep, but it's still like
it's. I think it's one of the deepest things he's ever written, but it's the most easiest to digest.
Accessible.
Accessible.
Deep is in he's dying. You know, and accessible. You understand all the tropes.
And there's a lot of sci-fi elements in that book.
You right? Arm wrestles, Atlas.
Yeah, fantastic. Doesn't he use the people of Kandor to cure the cancer? Great issue as well.
Atlas and Hercules at the same time.
Let
me go back to that.
Yes. But go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to just say, like, in terms of Superman storytelling, right? That, you know, the death of Superman, getting back to that, it's like a classic Superman story because what does Superman stand for? Truth, justice, American way. Or at least that was the incarnation. But he's, he did what was right. He did what had to be done, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what made that story so good, so powerful. I think at some point in the reader, they told us they spoiled the ending, death of Superman, right?
Yeah.
But in that issue where we see him like with these puncture wounds and the bruises and whatnot, and he's saying his goodbyes, right? It's like, oh shoot, this guy's gonna die right now. But he goes down fighting, right?
Yeah.
Like there's that epic shot
They break the glass.
where they break the glass.
Doom.
That was there's that epic page.
Yeah, they punched each other so hard they broke all the windows in the city.
I love that panel too. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there like a panel where like Jimmy's taking a picture and on the lens
you see the double hit.
we see the double hit where they strike each other at the same time, and
It's like a boxing hit too. It's like a cross like that.
yeah. That was fantastic as well. Also, like the I love those panels where it's kind of like a bird's eye view where we see like Superman hitting Doomsday with like the laser beam.
Yeah,
right.
like looking down.
Far.
Yeah, that's a great shot as
There's
well.
a couple of those, and there's a couple where he's going across, he's flying across, and stuff like that.
So that was the craziest thing. That whole book is splash pages.
Yeah, and
That's
then
crazy. That's, I don't know if you can get away with that nowadays.
no, but the brilliant thing is like those issues were leading up, right?
Time, countdown.
Yeah, so that was really great. But when I think Splash is like Jack Kirby, right, master of those splash pages. But I think every splash page that was in the Death of Superman, that's issue 75, right? Man, they were powerful shots,
Yeah,
man. I mean, I wanted every one of those pages as a poster.
Nice, nice.
So 30 years.
30 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And see, the funny thing is that nowadays, like if they were to do that now, it'd be a bigger event.
You think so?
Oh yeah, I think Death of Superman back then was seen as a gimmick. I mean, it was, but you know what I mean.
Well, the news was reporting it.
Yeah, but the news was reporting it. But the thing is, like other than Justice League, nothing else tied into that series.
Right.
And so-
I get what you're saying. You're saying a bigger event, meaning that it would impact all the books and whatnot. Yeah.
And then the funny thing is that and I love how people build on that too, because I think with like Brad Meltzer, he did
Oh, that issue, the issue 0, right?
When they were talking about the different eras of Justice League,
Right.
During Death of Superman, it was the Dan Jurgens era where he like the heaviest hitter was Guy Gardner, right? And he had like a Sinestro court ring or whatever, right?
Bloodwind.
Bloodwind.
Yeah.
Ice was on that team?
Ice and Fire and Booster Gold and Blue Beetle.
You mean the
Yeah.
Justice Society or
No,
Justice League.
International? You mean?
No, kind of a little bit, right?
Like right before that, right?
Yeah.
Like after Justice League International, right?
Yeah.
But that was known as the Justice League.
As-
And so like the thing was like Brad Meltzer actually built on that, where like they talk about that era, and Batman's watching the Death of Superman, and he's like, "We fucked up. The Justice League should be stronger. Like they shouldn't. He should have had the backup."
Well, yeah, the I think that's that story that Pete's referring to. It's the Justice League 0, right?
Yeah.
It's like Wonder Woman is in the Batcave. Batman has his shoulders slumped over, right? Because there's narration. Wonder Woman says, "Oh, I go into the Batcave. I see his shoulders are slumped over." And then the thing that Bruce Wayne or Batman says is like, "We have to make the league stronger."
Yeah,
right?
never again, right?
Yeah, never
Never
again.
again,
And that was like such a powerful
Yeah.
scene, right? Where again, similar to like the Kents, watching helplessly, right?
Yeah.
You have Batman, Bruce Wayne, watching helplessly from the Batcave and realizing, like, Batman's a control freak, right?
Yeah.
And in that moment where he sees Doomsday not just decimate Superman, but he saw Doomsday decimate the Justice League, I would assume that Bruce Wayne kind of takes it on himself, say, hey, you know what? Because I didn't help build a stronger league, Superman's not around anymore, right?
Yeah.
So I love that scene. Another great scene in
But he always
comics.
takes it upon himself, though. That's what he does.
Well, he wants it both ways, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The other thing I always talk about Batman is like, I know so many people love Batman. I love Batman, obviously, like in my top 3, top 5 characters. But, the fact that people say, oh, Batman's cool because he does it alone. Batman has the biggest supporting cast of characters. Like the Bat family is so large. Nightwing.
Yeah.
How many Robins? Batgirl, right? Orphan, right? Like it's all these people that
They keep adding to it too.
Yeah, they keep adding to it, right?
Oracle, fucking Gordon.
No,
keep going.
he has like such a large, and again, I'm not saying that's
Alfred with a shotgun.
detrimental to the character, but he has a large supporting cast, right? And then they try to portray him as like he's
loner.
a loner.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense anymore because he hasn't been a loner in the comic books for decades, right?
I think that's the coolest thing about Death of Superman is that after Death of Superman, we got The Funeral for a Friend.
Right.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting because it was like 12 issues to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just basically showing the world without Superman.
Right.
That led to his funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, we go into, I think, the best storyline ever is the Reign of Superman.
The Reign of Superman.
So you're saying best storyline in comics history?
I think so, man.
It's a pretty good story. It's a pretty good story.
I love Reign of Superman. Like,
Reign of Superman's pretty good.
And that was the coolest thing ever because at the time, Superman had 4 titles.
Yeah.
So it was a weekly book practically.
Superman, Action, Adventure, and
Man of Steel.
Man of Steel.
Yeah.
And so the great marketing idea.
Yeah.
They gave each title to a different Superman.
Right.
And we got introduced to the possible possible return of Superman in these different characters. And that was fucking interesting to me, man, because I bought into it. I thought like, oh, one of these guys is Superman.
Yeah.
One of these guys is gonna be the return of Superman.
Right.
Well, I think it's like you said, great marketing, right? They built it as one of these characters is Superman, and I'm there scratching my head, like, which one is it? Yeah. It could be the Eradicator, looks exactly like him.
Just has glasses.
Could be Cyborg Superman, because guess what? He got decimated by Doomsday, so it makes sense that he has these cybernetic pieces now, right? Yeah. Superboy, I had a hard time believing that he was the new Superman, but I love Superboy, one of my favorite characters, right?
See, that was where my money was, though.
Superboy?
Yeah, because that's if he was a clone. I mean, you obviously call him as Superboy when he came out. You know, he had the jacket, puts the jacket on. I'm Superman. He says I'm Superman.
Yeah,
you know,
don't call me Superboy.
I'm Superman. Yeah. So you're like, okay, there was some weird experiment. Yeah. He's gonna be our next Superman. Because there's no way these other 3 Yahoos are gonna be it.
I don't know. I thought the Eradicator was. I thought the Eradicator.
That was too obvious, though.
No, he was.
And I remember towards the end, before Superman came back, they were heavily hinting that it was going to be John Henry.
Oh yeah, we talk about this all the time.
Because there's this whole issue where like he saved him, and then like supposedly his consciousness.
There's like a mind link.
Yeah. And so they were heavily suggesting that it was going to be him.
That his consciousness was inside.
And I was like, you know what? That's fucking ballsy if they do that shit.
And my only question is, storytelling wise, like, wait, how did Superman have the power to transfer his consciousness unless John Henry Irons had that power to kind of rip his consciousness from him?
Well, because the thing too, because John Henry was always like they never explained why he was so strong.
No,
like a building falls on him and he stands up
and he says Doomsday.
Right. No, I love that retrospect too. They show why the building fell on him. Because remember, he was gonna jump in the fight, right? He grabbed the hammer and he went.
Wow.
Yeah.
That book takes off from that point.
Okay. Gotta check it out.
I keep going back to that book.
No, John Henry Irons was, again, a cool character. Love the character design.
Oh, yeah.
Especially love when they put like the S shield on his iron suit. That was really cool. When they gave him the red cape, that was even cooler. Great character. And again, I think out of the Reign of Superman, we got 4 very great characters in the DC universe after that point, right?
Which is really cool because then, like, when he finally came back, Superman now had backup.
Yeah.
Like Superman now had Steel and he had Superboy and like Supergirl had just come back, right? And like, and so that was the whole thing. Like I think that was the I didn't think about it till recently, but like he lost that fight to Doomsday because he was fighting by himself.
Right.
Now he's got a family.
Well, no one else could keep up.
Yeah, exactly.
Doomsday just went through everybody before he got to him, you know?
Yeah.
Well, again, if you think about it, again, I don't know the conversations they had at the company or editorial, but like you said, the cool thing is that now he had a support group, like Batman. That is right. But at the same time, what else happened? Right? Is I think it made readers appreciate the character of Superman even more because it's like, oh, Superman's gone, he's not here. I've heard those stories that say like, oh, the death of Superman was just a gimmick because Image Comics was getting big at that time, so they wanted to shake things up, but. Either way, I think it revitalized the character of Superman and kind of made him cool for a new generation, right? I mean, when he came back with the black suit and the guns.
And the long hair.
And the mullet.
The mullet.
He got with the times.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I was all into that.
Yeah, well, I wasn't.
No, you're not down with the black suit Superman?
He looked like one of my uncles with the mullet.
Oh, okay. Well.
Dude, my favorite part was when he first gets the guns. And then he's like, no more Boy Scout or some shit, right? And then Superboy's like, gonna earn those mirror badges.
Hey man, bringing in like what is the perception of Superman, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of paints writers or storytellers in a corner, is that, what's not cool about Superman? You get all these writers who perpetuate this kind of a myth that he is a Boy Scout.
Yeah.
And because you say it over and over again, people say, oh, he's a Boy Scout. He's lame because he's a Boy Scout, right? He's more than that, you know.
Yeah.
And Boy Scouts are cool. They know how to do a lot of things.
They do know how to do a lot of things.
And not only that, like you gotta think like if you had someone that powerful, you want them to be the Boy Scout, right?
Exactly.
You don't want them to ripping through people. Like,
yeah. What do you get? Was that character Homelander from The Boys, right?
That's what it makes him, right?
I know.
Ugh.
Because it was Grant Morrison always says that the evil Superman is like boring.
It'd be too easy.
It's too easy.
Yeah.
And I think this is why the character Superman is probably the hardest character to write in comics.
Huh.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's harder to come up with an interesting Superman story than it is for an interesting Batman story. I mean, let me put it this way, right?
Okay.
Think about the last year of, have you been reading like Batman Detective Comics?
No.
Okay. So Pete, you've been reading Batman.
Yeah.
Didn't they do like the same story like 3 times in a row with like the Joker War, the City of Bane, the Scarecrow Fierce? It's the same thing. One villain taking over Gotham City.
Oh.
That's the basic plot of most Batman stories. It's the villain takes control of the entire Gotham City.
Holds it for ransom.
Holds it for ransom. Batman's got to take it over again, right? It's easy. Everyone does it, right?
Yeah.
But off the top of your head, can you think of like an amazing idea for like an epic?
Yes.
You can? Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. Let's hear it.
Mad scientists and automatons.
I like it. I'm sold. Let's get Philip Kennedy Johnson off of Superman. And
Seriously, I'm in. No, when it comes to Superman, I really like those old Fleischer cartoons.
that's classic Superman.
And that's fun.
Yeah.
And that's what I would go with. If you're going to write a Superman story, I would go with something fun.
No, you're right though. Like most writers, they like depower him. Or they freaking Off-world. Yeah.
And that, again, that old cartoon Superman, he had a limit to his powers. Jumping single bounds, as powerful as a locomotive. That's
and I'm cool with that. This kind of like omnipotent guy that can do anything. Like that doesn't ever really resonate with me. Or I'm not really into characters that are unlimited power set, right? But like classic Superman can then just jump over buildings or faster than a locomotive. That's great because guess what? You have the edge over everybody still.
Right? He's still above the rest.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, he's not a god level, but he's above man level, I guess, or whatever you want to call it.
I think the most interesting Superman stories are the ones where he has to deal with shit that like his powers aren't going to be, helpful. You know what I mean? Like when
a jumper is on the edge of the building and he's about to jump,
he's got to talk him off,
and he got to talk him off. Even though he can just catch him on the way down, right?
If he wanted to,
right? That would have been the easy solution. Let him jump and catch.
But what is that saying? Like, teach a man to, what is it? Give a man a fish and he eats for a day, but teach a man to fish and he eats for a lifetime, right? It's the same thing. Yeah.
He's there. He goes with them. He talks to him. He ends up giving him a hug.
Yeah,
at the end, and he doesn't have to save him because he already did.
Yeah, and then here's the other thing: the cool thing about saving a person in that situation, like Superman did, and that's that issue that we're talking about, is that he ultimately left the choice to that person.
Yeah,
right. And I think that's the more powerful thing.
Yeah,
I didn't take that choice away from you. I'm giving you that choice, and you can make it on your own.
And even if he did jump, he would have saved them, right? So
absolutely.
Superman. This person knew. You know what? I would have taken the ride.
Yeah.
You know what, Superman? You're right. Thanks for the hug, homie. Catch me.
Hey, that's a great scene too. We haven't seen it, so maybe we'll see it in a comic one day.
Yeah, catch me. And then once he grabs him, like, thanks. I knew you would.
That'd be nice. That'd be a nice ending. Nice little tag scene at the end of a comic.
There you go.
Yeah. I should be a writer. Fuck that.
Yeah, you should.
I quit. I'm out. Bye, guys.
All right.
I'm gonna be a writer now. Get my bindle.
Yeah, man. I mean, the Devil Superman changes everything. I think as far it's the way comics are really told. I think like as far as it created a bigger event where
you guys talking about it like on a personal level. It changed not comics. It changed you guys.
Oh, yeah.
It changed you guys and the way you saw things. You guys became junkies.
Yeah, I ran to the store every week to get that next issue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But same here.
You know, it led you down the path of degradation.
Financial ruin.
Or could you could have a 401k right now.
Possibly.
Retirement funds.
You know, you factor in, and this is for everybody out there that collects anything, whether it's baseball cards, whether it's action figures, whether it's comics. You know, you put money into your hobby, right? Yeah. But, you know, you put it in because you enjoy it, right? Yeah. It brings you joy, something that inspires you. And, you know, if that's the case, then so be it. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, why are we here? You know?
Exactly right.
What are we doing?
I think we're here to enjoy life.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. Mm-hmm. It's finite.
I'm just, you know, not enjoying that. But no, yeah, I get it. There's a lot of stuff out there that's collectors. It's weird collectors. We put our... It's money to us, but to us that brings us a little bit of joy. And every time we look at it, we're like, "Oh, I have that." Nah, you know.
We can also think of it as an exchange, right? Because money has this value, right?
Right.
This paper has no meaning to me.
No,
you know,
it has
like,
nothing.
But this comic, 25 pages, 30 pages with this art on it, it means the world to me.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
you get more out of it.
Absolutely.
Staring at some white guy that's been dead for several years.
Exactly.
And like, have we seen in the back of the $5 bill? There's a guy in the bush there. He's like,
he's hiding.
He's hiding there.
Yeah.
Like, go team, red team, go. Red team,
go. This is a conspiracy theory podcast now.
Let's go.
Can I jump into it?
There's
now?
a little spider on the top right. Dude, conspiracy, we'd have to do no other podcast.
Hey, I'm down. Anytime.
You know, as the United States, we have the best conspiracies.
The best.
I think so too. And I don't think Russia can top us in that.
Oh, it's real quick. Tell them about the Bigfoots? Was it the
Bigfoots?
The ninjas of the forest? Right?
Oh, the ninjas of the forest. I've always loved Bigfoots. I've always wanted to do a story about Bigfoots, and I heard them described as ninjas of the forest. So I wanted to explore either a movie, a comic.
They run on the trees.
They run on the trees.
Yeah.
No, you know why I believe that? You ever seen Harry and the Hendersons, the movie?
One of my favorite movies all time.
Right at the end.
Yes.
When they all just start moving.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Fucking ninjas, right?
Yeah, they're ninjas. They're ninjas of the forest.
I'm with you.
Like, hey, man, I mean, we got to do another podcast about these old movies. I could do a whole Harry the Hendersons podcast.
Oh, really? I'm down, dude.
That's one of my favorite movies.
Same here. It's fun.
If you don't get choked up when you watch that movie.
It doesn't rock at them. Go away. Get out of here.
There's some great scenes in that movie. Great scenes.
Yeah, the show, I could take it or leave it. It's fun.
I watched it.
It's fun, right? It's kind of like an Alf, or, whatever, sitcom, whatever. Yeah. But that movie's good.
The movie's good.
Yeah.
No. Oh, okay.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Okay.
Oh,
it's been a while.
Maybe we should do a rewatch and kind of like a review.
Commentary?
Yeah, commentary. That'd be great. Yeah. We can give people timestamps and then they can follow along.
Well, we just did one with the Muerto.
Oh,
Hernandez.
Nice.
It came out today.
Oh, can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. So you can watch the movie and put the audio commentary.
Like a director commentary. Yeah. That's awesome.
Javier has the last stories.
Yeah, dude.
It's pretty interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
He almost died.
Yeah. Making of that?
Yeah.
Why?
I
have to wait. Okay, don't spoil it for me. Don't spoil it. I'm definitely going to check it out.
Yeah. I like that. Now people are going to be like, what the hell?
What?
Yeah. That's good promotion. That's a good plug.
I try.
Good job.
Awesome.
Yeah. Back to Death of Superman.
Death of Superman.
Yeah.
It's a good book.
Good, yeah. Changed you guys to better people. I think it changed me for the worse.
Oh, he's going to tell a story. He's got a story.
Oh, yeah. You wanted to hear it, right?
Yes,
You wanted to hear this. You wanted to hear how Death of Superman ruined me instead of making me a better comic collector, right?
I've been waiting all night.
Obviously, I was a little kid, about 10 years old, right the same age. I, born dyslexic, I had to learn to read through comics. What a great way to learn how to read. So I used to go 50-cent bin, quarter bins back in those days, get random stuff as long as it was cool. And I get a couple of stuff. Well, around the same time, Death of Superman started. This was one of the first books, like it's starting the whole event leading up to it. So Doomsday comes out in the first one, the whole like with the bird and he smashes the bird.
The little canary on it. Yeah, great.
I'm in for everything. I'm paying full price for these fucking issues every week as much as I can. I got all of them. Everything. I had maybe one or two that was missing holes, a couple little holes and stuff, right? All the way, Funeral for a Friend, Reign of Superman, had them all. Well, like I said, almost all. But it was a good, nice little short box.
Right.
Worth of, Superman books.
Yeah.
right? That's cool, right?
I would love to have a short box filled with those issues.
Those
Yes,
issues,
yes.
right? I had them all, tie-ins and everything, when Doomsday punches Supergirl and she becomes Splatter. I
Oh,
love that.
the Matrix, right?
Yeah. And it was great.
Let me tell you something real quick.
Right.
So I'd interject. When I read that as a kid, I was like, "Whoa!" Because I didn't know that was like Matrix, Supergirl.
Yeah.
But when I saw it happen,
Dude, it looks like her head explodes.
her head explodes and she looks like Play-Doh.
There's
right?
an eye, I think, in
There's
one of
an
the,
eye.
it's an eye. And
It's
there's
super
a pink.
graphic,
Yeah.
and I was like, how is Superman going to withstand punches from this character? Because I was unaware about the whole Matrix thing and whatnot. And I was also weirded out by that long-haired, red-headed Superman. Lex Luthor, yeah.
Oh, with the beard?
With the
And
beard.
the gold outfit.
Because like I said, I hadn't been reading comics up to that point. So those little moments kind of like confused me, but I was interested in knowing more about
And
them.
he wasn't Alex, he was Alex. wasn't he?
Alex, yeah.
It was supposedly his son, but it was
Yeah.
a clone of him, right? Like,
I was, needless to say, confused
And
as a 9-year-old.
And that was a predecessor to Superboy, right? Yeah. Anyway, so I had these books. Well, where I was living at was a little place, and it had 2 houses, one on top, one bottom, and then a house in the back. Now, in the house in the back, we had some neighbors, a male and a female, and had a baby. And every once in a while, they would have their nieces come over, and they would take care of them, right? Well, I got to know them and got to play with them. Eventually, I got to talk to them, and we got to know each other. We talked comics, we talked toys, we talked cartoons, kid shit. Well, at one point, I tell her, that's a Superman. I tell her the whole story, and she's like, "Oh, that's so amazing! I wish I could read that." Well, guess who has all these issues?
You.
Yeah. So here's my little short box with all these issues with Superman in them. Just don't forget to bring them back next time you come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Person never came back.
And the neighbor behind moved.
That day?
No, well, not that day, but within a month or two, I think it was. They took off, and all my books
Forever gone.
forever gone.
So let me ask you this. You never try to hunt this person down?
How would I?
Remember
I'm
a
10 years old.
name?
I asked, like, what happened to them? Where are they at work? How can we get in contact with them? Mom goes, oh, well, they're going to come. I think they owed them money or something. I don't know what the hell. They're going to come. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'm waiting for them to come, They never showed up. Apparently, he went to go meet them somewhere, and they went to go do whatever they had to do. And, I had no connection.
You gotta take that issue with your uncle, because your uncle should have taken you with.
I didn't know. He didn't know that about the situation. I didn't want to fucking tell my family, this girl stole all of my comic books, But after that, I had a fest effects.
Yeah.
Well, needless to say, that started a trajectory with girls and trusting my comic, because I will never lend a comic book to a girl ever.
I think that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Let me take it one step further. This is not a bag on the girls out there.
No.
Here. But I have a hard time lending out trades, and I'll tell you why. Because the times that I have lent out trades, they either haven't come back or they came back damaged.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about like. Not just like the corner nicked or something.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like pages ripped. I'm talking about like someone looks like they took a box cutter to it for some reason, right? And I'm like, whoa. So I'm very careful about lending out trades. Now, again, if it's like a mass market trade, that's all right, right? But if it's something that's out of print, something that I value, no, it's not leaving my possession.
Okay. See, but tell that to my 10-year-old version.
Exactly. No, you were a nice kid trying to do a nice thing, right? Maybe even trying to impress a little bit.
Yeah,
maybe
of course.
a little bit.
Of course. I'm gloating here. As a matter of fact, I'm impressed. I'm trying.
She's probably listening. She's out there somewhere listening to this podcast,
and I will continue to tell the story.
And she has those books, and she still reads them to this day and thinks about you every single night before she goes to sleep.
Danger! I didn't even think about it in that direction.
It's a possibility.
I thought it the other way. She sold them. She now is a prostitute in Vegas because I hate her so much.
No. Think about it this way. It's the last thing that she has that connects her to you. The last time she saw you, she took those books. So it's like probably her most cherished possession, right?
That's it. Wow.
Maybe she considered you like a really good friend, or
And she's holding on to them for me.
Yeah, possibly.
Holy shit, man!
She's waiting for you to find her. She's out there.
Man, I thought I might need therapy for this, but all I needed was you. Holy shit! That's funny. So if she's out there, if you're out there, give me a fucking book spot. No, I mean, it's not that I lost hope. It's just It's the same house. I've lived in the same spot. She could have come back. You know?
think so?
Yeah.
It could be like one of those really like sweet love stories where like you're like if you're gonna live there for the rest of your life, she comes when you're like 70, 80.
Yeah.
With the books. With the box.
Yeah.
They're probably all graded now, but she cherishes them, and she's
Oh,
like, here's your
man.
books back. I took care of them for you.
All graded.
Yeah.
Holy shit! This is a happy ending. I never went down this trajectory before. Everything I ever thought about was bad. Look at
No,
that.
no, you gotta look at things on the positive side.
All right. My books are coming back to me. Can't wait. I can't wait to be, what, 80?
70, 80? It could be any time.
Man, you should have given me 10 years. I gotta wait 70, 80, somewhere in between there. Jesus Christ. You're worse than the fucking electrical company when they tell you you're gonna be there between 9 and 5. Anyway. Anything else, Mr. Bellini? Mr. Death of Superman? Do you want to end it on a down note with that story? But I mean, he gave me a good ending.
No. I tried to end it on a positive note.
You did.
Those books are going to come back to you.
That's what I'm saying. You're ending on a good ending. So, is there anything else you want to add?
No. I mean, the one last Kickstarter.
Let's plug the Kickstarter one more time.
Let's
right?
go for it. Go
for
it.
So, again, social media, Pete, is Teenage Flame Saucer, right? Everywhere. You can follow us on social media. Can sign up for our newsletter.
Right? on teenageflying.com.
And again, if you just want to go directly to Kickstarter, you can just type in Gordo the Teenage Flying Saucer, right? Yeah. And you'll find our campaign there for the next month or so, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you got 30 days to back, support, let your friends know, post on your social media, help us reach our goal because again, we want to continue making this book.
Yes.
And the more you support us, the more we'll be able to kind of provide content for you.
So go ask your mom for a $20 bill. Or take it from her purse.
No,
don't do that. I'm sorry. Yeah. Just ask her. She might give it to you. She's nice.
Yeah.
All right, cool. In that case, thank you very much, Mr. Miguel. Mr. Peter.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to have you here. And to anyone still listening, have yourself a good morning, good day, and good night.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.